All right, so we're about to get started. I'm just officially observing the process by waiting until 7:30, but it is coming to that now. All right, well, welcome everybody to the Corporate and Community Services meeting. We'll start with a statement of acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that this land we meet on today is the traditional land for the Kaurna people, and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. Roll call. We have an apology from Councillor Little, and Councillor Tooley is on leave of absence, and everyone else is here. Do we have any motions to grant leave of absence? No? Okay, well, in that case, we will go to public open forum. So the community gallery presentation will be when we get to that at the start of the agenda, so that's coming up. But does anyone else have anything they'd like to say? They can go up over to the microphone there. If not, do we have any declarations of interest? No? Confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Yep, Mayor moved, and Councillor Fraser seconded, and all in favour? Unanimously carried. Business arising from minutes? If not, okay, we move on to 7.1, Gawler Community Garden Community Engagement. So my understanding is that instead of Debbie, we're going to have Tracy presenting today, so you can come up to the microphone. Sorry, I don't think the microphone's on, so.
Better now?
Yep, there we go.
Good. Hello. My name's Tracy Hall. I'm a fairly new member resident in Gawler, and I'm a member of the Gawler Community Garden Committee. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you again about our Gawler Community Garden project. We appreciate all the support you've given us so far and look forward to continuing to work with you to get this garden growing. The Gawler Community Garden has recently completed the community engagement, and we were very happy with the interaction that we received from the Gawler community. The feedback from the public and local businesses was all positive and encouraging, and this strengthens our resolve to make the garden a community asset. The workshop was a great opportunity to confirm what the community want from this garden. All attendees requested to be contacted by us to be involved in this community garden, some already joining the work during this application stage. This will be valuable to us as we proceed with our plans for the garden and even more skill sets and new energy for our committee. We would also like to thank the Gawler Environment Centre Coordinator, Kathy Whitaker, for all her ongoing help and support and the amazing job she did at the workshop during the engagement process. The committee remains very focused and we're currently working on more documents that will be required in the future. We've recently completed our development plan, which gives us a clear vision as to what will be required for each stage of our project and will be used for sourcing and applying for grants and scholarships. We're linked with other successful community gardens through several networks which provide valuable resources and experiences. Our followers on our Facebook page are approaching 500, and we look forward to those numbers growing even higher in the future. We're continuing to store donations from the community and received even more during the community engagement as word spread. These donations
No, just stopped working for a second. It's all right. We've applied for funding to improve these. It's in the budget.
there we go, relevant. Thank you. Back on?
Yeah.
Good. We are aware and respect that the council needs to look after its assets, and we would like to note the great guidance and wisdom of your development officers, Linda and Erin, especially through the community engagement process. With this in mind, the Gawler Community Garden Committee fully support their recommendations and are hoping that you will approve them tonight, particularly ensuring the designated land is safe for growing food. We would like to thank all of those involved and also like to acknowledge the hard work required to get these recommendations in place. We know that there are still processes before we can dig and plant in the soil, but are excited to be moving forward with each stage. With your help, we know we can make the Gawler Community Garden a place that our community will be proud of in the future. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you. Did anyone have any questions for the Garden Committee? Doesn't look like it, so you can sit back down. Do we have a mover for this motion? Yep, Mayor's happy to move, and Councillor Goldstone second. Would you like to speak?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the committee. Well done on your progress today. There's still a little bit more work to be done, clearly, which is important, isn't it? But I think this recommendation gives us support in principle, which I think is a really strong tick. If we can cross the T's and dot the I's, I'll be really proud to be able to support your community garden as it comes to fruition, and fruit and lots of other things that we can eat and share. So I just hope people support this. Thank you.
Okay, and second, would you speak? No, open it up to discussion. Councillor Kosh.
Thanks, Chair. Look, I'm happy to support this motion. In particular, I'm glad part 2, we're doing a soil survey. It's from a horticultural point of view, the essence of good growing is good soil, and whenever you're developing a community garden, you need to look at the health of that soil, in particular if there's any heavy metals like cadmium, lead, or even asbestos. You don't want any of those in the soil when you're growing that affects plants and ultimately the fruit, potentially the fruit. So I'm glad that that cost is quite minimal when you consider what we'll actually get. So that's good, and I'm glad that's a contribution we're providing to this group. Thank you.
And Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to support this. I think it's really good that the governance and the committee and the group have been formed, and it's really strong. It's really good presence, 500 followers on Facebook and all that. It's really good work, and it's really empowering for the community. So I think this is really going in the right direction, and you're really happy to support it.
So I had a question just around this lease agreement thing. Could I just get a bit more clarification on why we would be, I guess, not going immediately into a lease?
Through the chair. So at this time, the recommendation from the administration is just to hold the land, and this allows the community garden group to apply for funding, because then essentially you've got a piece of land that's being held for them. But at the moment, they don't have all the funds to start their garden. So it's about supporting their process, but also protecting council's assets, like Tracy has said, and making sure that we don't enter into a long-term lease agreement at this point, while the committee is still getting their feet on the ground.
Did we have any other discussion? If not, happy to move the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. So, yeah, that's all sorted. Well, it's a recommendation to council, so it's going to council, but it was carried unanimously, so I don't think you're going to have any problems there. So, yeah, good luck with the community garden. All right, so next up we have 7.2, 2022 Gola Fringe. The Mayor's happy to move, and a seconder, Councillor Fraser, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Chair. I think the recommendation is a good one. I think the model that we put in place earlier this year worked really, really well. I think there was a really good broad range of different activities, not just in Walker Place, but also in the Civic Centre, but also out in other areas. It is also about hopefully getting other venues on board, which I think takes time. So we'll see where that goes. But I think the community really backed this event. They love the Friday night opening event. So yeah, hopefully people support this.
And seconder wish to speak?
Yes, I support this as well. It is a really good event for the community, and as the Mayor said, it's very varied, so you can grab people from all sections of the community. There was lots of good reports about the last one, and they can only get better and better, I think.
And Councillor Koch?
Oh, yeah, thanks, Chair. I've just got a question about the Friday night event in Walker Place around the alcohol. Has there ever been any conversations with the licensed premises to provide some of to cover some of the costs of that?
Through the chair, at this stage there hasn't been, and not something we've done previously. However, obviously something that you want us to look into, we can certainly do that.
Sure, and just to clarify on the alcohol, the actual licensing and such is not the main cost of that, is it? It's the fact that we have to set up toilets.
Yeah.
And security.
Yeah, so through the chair, it's toilets, fencing and security, and that's really where the cost comes from. The license itself is not a large cost.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any other discussion on this one? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I think it goes to what Councillor Koch says too. I thought there was a fair bit of discussion about the fact that we don't allow alcohol to be an alcohol-free event. By passing this here tonight, does that basically give it the green light for exactly as it was last year?
Did staff wish to comment?
Yes, so through the chair, it will be the same format as last year. We have included the cost of no alcohol version in the report, but it's not the recommendation at this stage.
And yep, Councillor Fraser.
Through the chair, we didn't have any trouble with the alcohol last year, did we? No. Thank you.
And are there any rough figures of if we were to do the 3-day event as we did in the past, what the difference, the kind estimated sort of difference in cost would be? How much we're saving on that one?
Through the chair, I haven't put that information in the report, but the significant costs would come through having security for the 3 days and overnight for the event, to look after all the event infrastructure and equipment that's left in there for the weekend. That's where the main cost would come into it. and staffing as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Staffing the event for 2.5 or 3 days rather than just the one afternoon and evening.
Sure. And in terms of the setup and pack down of Walker Place, including installation of temporary fencing and that sort of, is that the same cost either way because they have to come in to set it up and they have to come in to take it down? Or is there an extra cost associated with it being a longer event?
Through the chair, there's no extra cost associated with that. It's just the timing of it. So
Yep.
it just gets set up earlier and packed down later for a longer event.
Did we have any other discussion? Otherwise, and Mayor, are you happy to move the motion? All those in favour? All those against? It is carried. Next up, we will go to Walker Place events and activation, that we note the report. Do we have a mover for this one? Councillor Fraser, and a seconder? Mayor, do you wish to speak?
It's just noting the report, and I think it's quite informative. So, not really.
And the seconder wish to speak? No. Open it up for discussion. Councillor Kosh.
Yep, look, I'm happy to support this. Support this report, in particular when it includes the Walker Place event application kit as forms. Well, it actually gives a good breakdown on how a community group could actually run an event there. And I think that's important, that community groups understand how they can actually run an event there to activate that space, not only council activating the space, but community groups. So I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Again, carrying on a bit from Councillor Kosh, the Walker Place has been, since the French last year and all that sort of stuff. Has there actually been any club, group or whatever applied for an event held in Walker Place? And, like looking at, just alone looking at the cost of closing the roads and all that sort of stuff, I can't understand why it's that expensive. But I can't believe anybody that I know of, and I've been involved with a lot of events over time, that would want to hire that area. So I'm just wondering, is there any persons that have indicated they may well want to, be able to take on this kit and run an event in that area?
So through the chair, we have had some interest. However, no one's gone all the way through to hosting an event. There's been some informal events as referenced on page 17 of the agenda, predominantly run by Poetic Justice Cafe. However, a couple of informal busking events supported by council during the fringe period, but we haven't had a community organisation or a commercial group close the entire road for an event in Walker Place. It's only been council that's done that to this point.
Yeah, and do we have any, because busking is something that is easily accommodatable even outside of the fringe period. Is that something that we have a list of buskers and are working towards something like that?
So through the chair, as part of council's stimulus funding in the previous financial year, council actually covered the cost of busking permits for a number of different artists within Gawler. So they're able to busk at various locations throughout Gawler whenever they want because they have the permits to do so. So anyone can actually apply for that permit through council's website, designate where they'd like to be busking, and then it's assessed and permits are handed out. So it's definitely a possibility in the future as well.
Did we have any other discussion? If not, I can put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimously carried. Next up, 7.4, draft digital marketing strategy. A question from the Mayor.
Just talking about KPIs, it says in the report that the KPIs and guidelines are on page 14 to 15, their goals and objectives. Where are the KPIs?
So through the chair, the KPIs are in the how this will be measured column of the tables within the goals and objectives.
Sorry, so what's the page, where are we at on this? 83 of the attachments? Do you want to speak into the microphone?
That's not my understanding of what KPIs are. They need to be reduced management time by how much, streamlined processes by how much. There usually is a target. It's not just a statement. Using a content calendar, where you can use the content calendar, doesn't mean it's been used effectively. It doesn't actually, can potentially tell you nothing. If you go down to provide information and updates to stakeholders, digital results, how will this be measured? Website session, website page views. So that's stating a task, but it doesn't actually have a target. And my understanding and knowledge around KPIs is that we actually have a target. So improve by 50%, a target of 30% improvement, 10% improvement on baseline. So this could be a baseline, but what's your target? So I'm just, yeah, that's not really nailing the KPIs in my observations.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it'd be good to, yeah, I guess be able to, I mean, I guess the point of KPIs to an extent is to determine whether it's doing well or not doing well. And I think just something like, well, that we have website page views and such, and that's reported, is not necessarily reflective of that. Even if and as a KPI, just raw traffic numbers or something may not be inaccurate, you know, because it could be that we double our level of engagement on Facebook, but it's because we made a new entrance statement that everyone hates, and not because, you know, we have a higher level of engagement from the, you know, from the person who's running the page or that kind of thing. So it would be good to be able to, I guess, be able to pinpoint, you know, when we come back for a review, has this position been a success? You know, has it made a meaningful difference to not having the position, you know? So yeah, that's commentary, but in terms of what we want to do with the motion, a question from Councillor Koch.
Yeah, but one of the issues I have through this is that you need quality content, and I can't see in here how that's going to be produced. We do have a little section here on page 115 talking about social media training. I don't know how we're going to, because producing quality content is very hard. I mean, not everybody can do it. So I don't know what the strategy is going to be to ensure that it's quality. Yeah. So I don't know, how are we going to ensure it's quality content? Because that's the key to it. Any question? Any answer?
Was there any thoughts from staff?
So through the chair, we'll hopefully be able to meet that quality content criteria with the staff that we engage to deliver the digital marketing strategy, because part of their role is around that content creation and oversight of the content throughout the entire council. So that's hopefully how we're going to address that one. And further to the point on KPIs, there is also a measurement and evaluation section on the strategy on page 123 of your addendas. And we note there that we want to increase our activity in each of the metrics that are referenced above by 5 to 10% each year. But I completely take the point that we should have a more targeted KPI metrics within the strategy, certainly.
Yep, that's satisfying. Yeah, sure. Good.
And Mayor?
I've got a slightly changed motion, if I could indulge your indulgence, Chair. So I'm happy to adopt that first point and make it a first point, and have a second point that an update report be provided to the November 2021 CCS meeting on this matter, including on the progress of the new communications or digital strategy position. comma, KPIs and relevant matters.
Sure, and we'll just make sure that's up on the screen.
Read it, Connie. I'm happy to talk to it.
Yeah, speak to it now.
I think this is a really good, there's lots of good things in the report, as much as I've critically analysed the KPIs, because I'm a bit of a KPI nerd, but I think that there's lots of positive things around this digital strategy. I think it is critical to get the right person. That's up to the administration to ensure that occurs. However, there has been lots of debate around the table, in my observations, around this particular new position, and I think it is appropriate for this committee to get an update report on the progress of the new position, on things like KPIs. That was strong feedback, I think, from yourself, Chair. I think it is appropriate to pick up on that and see how we're tracking, and this committee can assess that, or just get an update report later this year, not next meeting but the November meeting. So it would be an early update report, but it might give us an understanding and might raise some questions and engage in some important debate, so that we're happy and comfortable and we can advise council that things are tracking and we think this is a success. So I think this is about success. It is about keeping the activities of council under review, which is our core responsibility under the Local Government Act as elected members, and an update report I don't think is unreasonable.
All right, do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Koch, and do you wish to speak? No. Okay, we'll just make sure that this is, that we have the motion correct. Okay, and do we have any other discussion on this one? If not, happy to move the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Second was Councillor Koch. And we move on to 7.5, after hours phone service review. Do we have a mover for this one? Mayor, happy to speak.
I think this was a really enlightening report. Thank you to staff for doing the work, and I think there were 22 abandoned calls in December 2020, which tells you people gave up. I was one of them. In fact, I think it was twice that I gave up. Thank you, David, for taking my call. So I think this really reflects the level of feedback that has been received, and I found it really interesting that staff had similar experiences. I think it's really encouraging that we've found a South Australian company. It is worth a crack, I think, and I really liked having the LGA procurement option, but I think this is a sensible way forward, and it gives us flexibility to change our minds if we don't get the service that we're promised. So I think it is a sensible way forward. We do need an after hours provider. I think it helps. It is, I guess, the way of what we do after hours, but I'll certainly be watching, particularly over Christmas breaks, particularly if people die and can't get in contact with people. But I think this is overall a really good report, and I support this motion.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Hughes, do you wish to speak? Do we have any other discussion? Deputy Mayor.
I can't come to grips with the factor that we as an elected body, with our mayor, and the mayor had problems, I've had problems, numerous people have had problems contacting when all of a sudden a tree has fallen over. It wouldn't be a pepper tree, it could still be standing there so solid. But basically with problems that do occur on weekends. Now we were handed, and you've heard me many times say, why are we, the elected members that are sworn to secrecy, we don't go out there and broadcast people's names and addresses, but we're given this document and there's not one phone number on it. Now, I'm not sure why it is, but I'll refer back to when I was mayor. Every councillor knew everybody that worked for this beautiful organisation, the town of Gawler. And when you look at that, and if all of a sudden there's a problem that somebody's rang up and says, you know, that it's to do with, well, David's department or whatever it may be, and all of us, the new U-Butte signs, what do you call them, up there at the visitor centre and down at Walker Place, you know?
Oh, the wayfinding.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Well, who's the first person to ring? Well, okay, bang. David's got a phone. We pay for the phone, right? Now, all David's got to do is say, nick off, Sample, I don't want to talk to you, but I'll give you somebody else's number to talk to. But we're going into this here. I'll agree with Mayor Karen, but administration will conduct a review of answering Adelaide's performance as a council after hours phone service following 6 months of service. Why does it take so long to do things? Is this just because it's the way the public service is or whatever it may be? But as elected members, you know, there was something in last Saturday's paper all about the factor of the new Audi going around here. I know nothing about the Audi. All I know is they're going to plomp it somewhere around there and everything. But the people that rang me said, you should know. Anyway, I did. I rang Mr. Viney, he's given me all the information now. I don't have a problem. And I just believe that we as elected members are the ones that should have a contact to be able to, we're not going to harass the persons and things like that. But all of a sudden, hi Marty, how you going? There's a sign falling over up the road. Can you tell me, can I go and remove it, or can I give you somebody else to remove it? This sort of thing should be fixed in a week, not 6 months, you know. And I think we've got to start getting the community back in bed with us, because at the moment they're way away from us because they think we do nothing, you know. And you know, when people complain to me and to other elected members and so forth, maybe it's just a quick phone call and say, like I did with Ryan, and he immediately got the information to me. That's how it should be, not wait for 6 months when a community person rings for something. So I'll support it, but please, we've got to do things quicker when it's just called common sense, like the witches' hats that are still on the road around the post office. When I walked in there today in the post office, and all the ladies said, Sambo, get rid of those witches' hats, there's nowhere to park. We were told they were going to be put on the lawn when they didn't need to be moved. We just need to be able to know a little bit more about communications with our staff, because we love our staff, we love our town and that. But at the moment, we get information that's got nobody's phone number on. I mean, most of us know most of their phone numbers, but if the CEO or whoever says we're not allowed to ring those names, well, we won't. But it'd be really nice to have a name. I mean, I read this beautiful book tonight, and I thought, oh, I've seen that lady before. We should know who we're working with to run this council.
Do we have any other discussion? If not, happy to move the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. And we go on to 7.6, Customer Service Strategy Update, Customer Service Survey. Do we have a mover for this motion? we can skip the motion if nobody is happy to move it. Okay, the mayor is happy to move it and speak.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think it's a really good outcome. Well done to Chia and your team for putting this together and going through this process. It is important. You've got some really interesting feedback from a broad, it seems to me, a broad range of people. And I think the only thing I'd say is there are elements of people that aren't particularly happy, and it'd be nice to tease out a little bit more about that if we could, because some of the numbers are a bit higher than perhaps you'd like. So I think that would be really useful to use that as a quality improvement activity and try and get those numbers higher of satisfaction. So, but yes, some of the comments, people are happy to put lots of comments in, and I think that's a really good positive reinforcement for customer service. And that's all I've got to say, Chair.
Okay, well, do we have a seconder? And Deputy Mayor, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, I agree with Mayor Karen, but you know, I'd love to see that sort of report that we're looking at there with those information every council meeting. You know, how much does it take for one page of paper? We get so many pages of paper. Good job we don't have an Outback dummy anymore. And the whole point about it is that that information is good for us because we know what our community is thinking about us and so forth. There's some great comments there. You know, the one about very friendly staff. Well, that's you'd like to see that every time. If you weren't seeing those sort of things, well, somewhere we've got to find a way to be able to really do what we're doing in professional way to be able to get back with our community, not have the community say, well, you know, all you do is talk, you don't do anything. So I support this. I think it's great, but I'd like to see a page every council meeting, just a flick page and say, great, look what's happening. That's good. Not wait till November. It's Christmas time. Then we're going to forget about everything.
Do we have any other discussion? I had a question or comment, I guess. Is there do you have this split, I guess, in terms of what categories of interaction they're having? Because in terms of the negative feedback, there seem to be a few about emails, for example. So I'm just wondering if we're able to, and to talk about the digital marketing stuff as well. Facebook is another category where I know people have complained in the past about response times and that sort of things, and I'm not sure if it's reflected in the survey as it is now. So is that sort of information that we have or that we can get in future surveys?
Through the chair, in its present format, the survey doesn't ask how they interacted. It does ask what their preferred method is, and that includes email, face-to-face, and all the other options. If that's something that you want data on, we can modify it. It's just a Survey Monkey survey, and it's not set in stone. This is the first rollout. If it's not getting the information we need, we can tweak it. So.
Okay, yeah. Because I think that might be helpful for feedback. Okay, so any other discussion? If not, I'm happy to move the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. And that brings us to 7.7 policy review. So IT support for council members, dog registrations and hire of council-owned facilities. Let's see. Did we have a mover of this motion, Councillor Fraser, and a seconder, Councillor Goldstone? Do you wish to speak? Seconder wish to speak? Any other discussion? All right, everyone else apparently. Deputy Mayor?
Can I just ask, it says dog registration. What about cat registrations or cat policy or whatever? Marion Council has now just announced that they're going to go further, that you've got to have your cat sleeping with you at night. You're not allowed to let her out. I mean, are we doing anything about cats? Because there's still a problem.
So what is the status of our cat policies at the moment? Acting CEO?
Yeah, through the chair, we've developed a draft bylaw that has gone through consultation now. We're in the process of considering the feedback from the community and hoping to present a report back to council in July.
All right. And let's see, Councillor Hughes, did you have your hand up? Yep.
Just a question on the councillor emails, whether we could look at getting a lifting of how much our mailboxes can hold, because I find that I can get 10, 20 gig of emails in one day, and yeah, just filing and trying to keep on top of my emails every couple of days is yeah, I can't send emails at the moment because I'm over my limit, and just trying to file and try and keep emails is, so yeah, whether we can ask to get an increase in our limit would be great.
Yeah, is that something that requires, is that a budget kind of thing, or is that not viable, or what's happening with that?
So through the chair, it's definitely possible. We can always increase limits. It's just storage capacity of our infrastructure. We're about to move all of the organisation's emails into what's called Exchange Online, which is a cloud service. That will alleviate the problem. That's happening over the next quarter, so to speak. So in that time frame, elected members will have increased mailbox sizes.
Okay, and that's so just their personal Outlook emails will have that, not just the general cloud storage, I guess.
Through the chair, it's not a personal Outlook email address. It's a corporately provided councillor email address.
Right.
So the councillor email address will have increased limits.
Okay. And follow up?
Yeah, I'm wondering whether we could get that in the next week or two, even just if it's just a 10 or 20% increase. My work email is like 100 times bigger than my council limit. It might even be 1,000 times bigger than my work one. So yeah, it isn't a very big limit that we've got as councillors. So, and I don't think all of us getting that small increase is going to make much difference, because yeah, I mean, yeah, as I said, I've got unlimited on other email accounts, and my work is monstrous. So I don't think it's going to be that much effort to give us a bit more until that happens. It'll be good.
Is there an ability in the short term to just be like, oh, this is 5% higher, or that kind of thing? Or is it something that we need to move to this cloud service before we can do?
Through the chair, I have to take that on notice and talk to our network support team regarding what the capacities are. We also do have the records management implications of increased mailbox sizes. And if we're not managing the records in that space, there's other implications in that. So I have to take that on notice and get back to you.
Okay. Councillor Kosh?
Yeah, just on the policy of information technology support for council members, can I get a clarification? What's the ramification if somebody is in breach of that policy?
So through the chair, as per report, page 35, the consequence of using personal email and breaching the policy in that regard is a breach of the 2.6 Code of Conduct.
Follow up?
Yeah, I mean, there's other, when I've read the policy, I can see potentially some breaches, which is more than just using personal emails. I don't, what's the ramifications? For example, if someone's harassing or bullying, using the email service to harass and bully others.
So through the chair, I can't actually answer without specifics of example, because there's so many different consequential outcomes based on what could potentially occur. So I'm sorry, I can't actually answer that specific question.
Sure. And Mayor?
Just in reference to, where is it? So on page 146 of the attachments, again around the council members' tech support, council members must not utilise personal email accounts to communicate council business. So if we take Councillor Hughes's example where he can't actually contact or send or receive any emails, he's forced to use some other email account to communicate, which has happened to me in the past, or actually quite regularly, when my email box is full. Now, I know it's going to happen in the next quarter, but that's a 3-month to 6-month turnover. And I just, you know, we endorse this, and it means you can't communicate. So I think that until we transfer over to a cloud environment, I think we do need more capacity, because otherwise we're all going to be in breach of this, and we're all going to be in breach of the code of conduct, which is stupid, because we have to be able to communicate, and the best way to communicate is via email, and currently that's a challenge through the limited capacity of elected member email accounts, including mine. So yeah, I have trouble with this particular clause, Chair, because we will be in breach.
Yeah, no, I think that because it can be as simple as, I think for a lot of members, the only way they access the email is through like the laptop that it's set up on officially, for example, and then if they don't have access to that, or the inbox is full or that kind of thing, that can be something. I mean, look, being in breach of Part 2 of the Code of Conduct, as we know, is meaningless, but theoretically we would be in breach. But yeah, I don't know. It could be something that we delay that particular policy or implementation or something. Councillor Koch?
I had the same problem, and I spoke to the coordinator of IT, and I now can access a portal where I can actually go to all the stored emails, so I can just delete the emails on my account, and I can go through that portal and find all those emails again. So I haven't got that problem now with it bottling up. I just delete them. Yeah, and so there's no drama. I just go through the portal and I find all the emails. They're all there. Yeah, so I don't know why we're all not doing it. Yep.
All right, and Mayor?
It can be really difficult to find those emails, because it depends on whether you've noted the title of the email, content of the email, keywords, etc. It doesn't always bring it up. Doesn't mean the email's not there, it just means you can't find it. So I think it is a good option. I'm not sure if elected members can gain access to that, because it may sort out, so maybe that might sort out the issue if all elected members have access to and have their own password into that archive. So it's an archive, it's a cloud-based archive, and it goes back a number of years. But yeah, your keyword, and it may not, sometimes you can't find it. Yeah, I've had that issue, but it is a potential solution. Yes.
Sure. So in the immediate term, in terms of whether we want to adopt this policy right now, I guess that's up to supporting or not supporting this motion, and then we can, if it's not supported, we can come back to it with a different option. Was there any other discussion on this? Oh, Deputy Mayor? Oh, Mayor?
We delayed this for this very matter last time, and I don't think using the words "unless advised" in writing otherwise actually captures what our issues are. And I wonder whether we need to change. Council members must not utilise personal email accounts to communicate council business. Every endeavour needs to be made to ensure access to official email. There has to be a way. So, David, you're a wordsmith. I think there's a better way of capturing access to official email accounts, be it cloud-based, be it.
So through the chair, the deferral of the matter from the previous CCS was actually around use of personal emails when directed to by a third party in an investigation. The storage limits weren't actually brought up at the last CCS, so we haven't turned our mind to that. However, the Barracuda archive server is available to all elected members. So that stores every single email that comes to council. And I believe it's back 11-ish years or something around that limit that every elected member can access, and it's logging on using your elected member credentials and your own password, and you can only see the emails that have been sent to yourself or you have sent. So you're not able to access emails that other people have sent, if that makes sense. So that is already available, so we can deal with that straight away in terms of the limits until obviously we move to a cloud-based exchange online, and then we can have greater capacities in terms of our storage infrastructure. However, that wasn't the reason for deferring the policy, so quite happily defer it again and we can wordsmith again. But the wordsmithing around the use of council member was in relation to those investigations where you're directed to in writing to use a personal address.
Yeah, I believe last time Councillor Little brought up ombudsman investigations and that kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, we can, yeah. There's a few options, I guess. We could defer it. We can say as amended and come up with some wording. We can pass it. We can not pass it, but yeah, we've got the motion as listed at the moment. So that's the motion that we will be voting on if no one else had any others. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, sorry, I've spoken before, but I'm on about the dog registrations, why it's mixed in with the, certainly a lot of dog emails I get, I can tell you, but they're not from dogs. But the thing is with it, that dog registration, I'm still concerned that we've had a lot of reports, and Mr. Bill Chambers and a number of other people, about the feral cat problem. And everything I read in the information here, it says dog and cat management. Why is it actually in this policy review email? Because I believe we've got to take it on full bore about dogs and cats management in this town.
Yeah, well,
Can somebody answer why that is in there? IT support and hire of council-owned facilities, I understand. And if I may just say, in the discussion that Councillor Hughes has had and everything, in my discussions with Mr. Barrett and Kate, I don't have that problem. I just have a button up the top that says delete. And, you know, like, it's only an old phone, but I don't have any of that problem that David has. I'm surprised, being the person he is in the community with his work, that he should not be harassed with these the amount of emails or junk mails that are coming through to us.
yeah, well, I think the council members from the previous term also might just have a bigger backlog of emails because they've got the previous 4 years as well. But yeah, in terms of the dog and cat stuff, my understanding is just that the cat stuff ran into a different set of problems, so it sort of got separated along the way, and it's just being sorted out separately. So yeah. All right, are we happy to, let's see, who moved this motion? Councillor Fraser?
This is just about registration, though. It's not about the management of cats and dogs. It's just about dog registration.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So did you wish to, I guess, speak as the final, have the final speak? No. Okay. In that case, I'll move the motion. All those in favour? All those against? It is carried. And we will move then to, let's see, items listed for discussion and items listed for discussion at future meetings. Did anyone have anything in mind? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, recently through this COVID time that we've been going through, there's been a lot of work done by staff and by groups in the area. One in particular is Council was very lucky to be able to get a grant to put on a music event which was held down at Princess Park. Is it possible at all to get a report or whatever on that event and how it went and so forth, and whether the money and everything was spent wisely, to support programs like that in the times that we're going through at the moment.
Yep, we'll put that one on there. So items listed for discussion at future meetings. That's the, what was the name of that event? The Change Music Festival, or? The Apex one?
Ran the event, but the money was, whether any staff know of it here, but they ran the event properly, but there's only one trouble, people didn't turn up, and it was done very well. But it'd be just nice to know that exactly where things may have gone wrong or whatever. And maybe a discussion for future events that might pop up like that when staff get a grant, that we're able to put on something like that, you know.
Right, because this was an event that was funded by the community grants. Yes. All right, so did anyone else have anything for future meetings that they wanted to bring up? If not, we'll go on to questions without notice. Any questions without notice? Any motions without notice? If not, we will close the meeting at 8:24.